Let's roll. This is Countercharge, your podcast for ranks, flanks, and kings of war. Join your hosts as they delve into the world of Panithor and bring you worldwide coverage of all things Kings of War.
Welcome to Countercharge. I'm Matt Temple, the most handsome Temple here in Indianapolis.
I'm Blake Robertson.
I'm Rob Enough.
And I am Jeremy Duvall. Rob and I are really excited to be joined by these two fine gentlemen.
To be fair, we had to find some good Abyssal players, but we only could find Matt and Blake. But in their defense, they don't spam Berserkers.
Yeah, so right, they got that going for you.
So we got reasonable voices here.
Look, Rob, I'm gonna say this about that. I did win one of our local GTs with Abyssals, so.
And you did it without spamming Berserkers, right?
I didn't have any.
And Matt only plays Succubi.
A man after my own heart. The prettier and nastier. Sign me up. I didn't realize I would get a Jeff Swan Blake sighting when Jeff sent me a text and he's like, dude, I'm in the Denver airport. Look who I'm with.
We were in Phoenix and Jeff comes walking up and I was like, whoa. Hey, so this is something I want to put to this. Jeremy made reference that he's going to retire the headband after this GT.
Well, this is at Jackalopes.
So we got Jackalopes coming up, and Blake asked me if I would bring out the headband, and I said I would bring it out for one more ride.
The Miyagi-Do headband?
Yeah, what I meant is one more ride of 3rd edition.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, pretty much we were going to have a revolt, man. You thought people were pissed about 4th. You retiring the headband would cause even worse.
Yeah, no, it's not getting retired. It's just coming out for its last 3rd edition Ride into the Sunset, which is happening as we record this in just a couple of days. Really excited. Going to be heading up to Reno. Thankfully, weather is permitted this time for the Reno Jackalopes November tournament. Super excited for that. Going to be up there with Blake, and I have challenged friendly local serial killer Danny to first round because I must vanquish him. He is my arch nemesis. Anytime I go to Reno, he always beats me. So I got to get one. Blake, normally that would be me challenging down, but Danny beats me all the time, right? So I think that was a fair challenge in your opinion.
No, totally fair. And Danny's up for it. I liked his little chewing camel or whatever that was. As Jeremy did this beautiful verbose challenge, and then Danny said bring it on and just had a meme of a camel chewing.
Yeah, and for Danny way, he just was like, okay. You know, I spent like 3 paragraphs. I wrote my challenge in Microsoft Word. I'm like doing pop culture movie references, trying to add in humor, and he's just like, okay. Pure Danny fashion, but we're excited here today. We got Blake and Matt and Rob's joining us to talk about the new Abyssals. We got a great preview for you guys. A couple of things I think it's important for us to riff on. There is a new change, right, with how these armies are coming out. There's the basic lists, right? It's your stripped down, your streamline, you're back to formula. It's the one step back before we get the 2 steps forward, right? Which is they got to bring these lists down before they can add new stuff within the new ecosystem of 4th. And then we have our complete lists, right? Those are the lists that are coming out in the Evasion book. So Abyssal is one of those basic lists. So I think one trend we're going to see here is we're going to see a sort of streamed down, for lack of a better word, it's what they're called. It is a basic list. Now, the questions I think are going to be interesting as people start playing the edition and get into those first few months. How are the basic lists going to feel compared to the more complete lists in the Invasion book? Are we going to have a scenario where the 4 Invasion books lists, and then when the second Invasion book comes out, 8 lists then? Or is there going to be such a disparity, or is there going to be avenue for creativity and people define things that work out of these basic lists? And I think there's really no way for us to know that until it's out there in the ecosystem. People are trying things, but just keep that in mind when we're talking this round of Abyssals, that this is under the umbrella of being a basic list. First off, let's talk command orders. So the command orders that we're getting with Abyssals, we got Unholy Shield and Burn the Sinners. So Unholy Shield is interesting. It's a command order that you can only use on upper circle units. So we'll talk a little bit about that as we get into the list review. And it increases its defense by 1 while being targeted from ranged attacks, right? So shoring up some of that sort of historic abyssal weakness to shooting. And that gets cast on a 5+.
And this kind of replaces the imps, right, for the units.
Yes, it gives you a little defense. I know that you can no longer kill from shooting. You still can waver, and I think shooting is still going to be a part of weakening lines. What do we think about that? Having a Unholy Shield, do we like it as Abyssal players of just having an ability that we can use to maybe even out some of that shooting damage?
If I can cast it like 3 or 4 times, sure. Matt's probably with me on that one.
Well, you do need a 5+ target value on this.
Right, but you roll 2 dice, right? And one of them has to be a 5.
3 dice if it's a warlord, and you got to be within 12 inches of the character that's casting it.
So each character can do 1 command order, and each unit can be affected by 1 commander. So if you have multiple heroes, you can spread this out to multiple units, right? It's just you can't cast multiple commands on the same unit. Okay, so you need a 5+. So remember, on these dice, regular heroes are rolling 2, looking for a success, right? So you have 2 chances to roll a 5, whereas warlords, you get 3. Because you're going to see some command orders are 2 plus N, right? Where N is the amount of successes you have. So there might be, with some command orders, you want to be rolling more dice at it, not only to get a success out, but you want multiple successes. So 5+ is a little bit on the harder side to get, right, on only 2 dice.
That's where the warlord comes in, make it a little easier. And you're only going to have up to 1 warlord per battalion, right? So they're going to be hard to come by.
The other command order is Burn the Sinners. This one I think is really interesting. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Its target number is a 4+, and the unit gains Fireball N+2 spell this a turn, where N is the number of successful dice. So basically you're going to get Fireball 2 plus however many successes you have. And remember, Fireball is Blast now.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. I didn't understand that.
Blast D3 and Shattering, correct?
Holy moly. Okay.
See,
right
some
on.
of the overall Fireball numbers have come down, right? But it's because it's to give that little bit of drama, right? That if you hit with
Right.
Fireball, it could just, have a combustion and just blow your load, right?
Pardon?
Whoa.
Phrasing!
Well, welcome to Wraparound,
Cheek.
When you think about Burn the Sinners, right? With the Warlord, 3 dice, right? What is your average is going to be 1 or 2, right? So Fireball 4, maybe you spread Burn the Sinners out on a couple different units to add already to the amount of Fireball that you have elsewhere in the army. Maybe there's something to be here for like an initial Fireball volley. Yeah, I kind of like the idea of like in the beginning of Gladiator, right? They're shooting all the burning arrows as all your little grubblies are running in. What do you think, Matt?
I really like it. I'm kind of thinking late game, actually. Like, all right, you've got that one unit. It's been in combat. It survived, but it's got 15 wounds. Can hit it with a fireball, and maybe I can get 3-4 more wounds, pop it over to a 12. Okay, that kind of thing. So yeah, interesting. The blast on fireball. That's really interesting to me. So curious to see the Ifrit later.
Well, the Fiend, too.
True.
It actually makes it interesting.
And that's another interesting point to think about late game shooting when units already have a lot of damage, right? And you can get them to that devastated, where you can actually pick them off, with nerve,
Right.
where they are killable. So again, only 2, right? We'll see once Abyssals make it into their full list. We'll see additional command orders plus spells or whatever else they add. But I think it's 2 ones to start with. I think these are okay. I mean, I think they're in the ballpark as they're usable. Like, I don't read either of these 2 and I'm like, I'm never going to use it. So, I mean, so we did lose previously. There was Hellfire, which was the unit gains a Fireball 8. So, we already see why that is now lower, right? Since Fireball blasts. And Abyssal Mutations, which was basically you can re-roll your failed regen rolls.
That was fantastic.
That was a good one.
That's not what my opponents told me.
No, you're right about that. I don't know how many people just almost wanted to bang their head on the table when I brought things completely back.
So we have some community questions. So Robert Lee asked us sort of, what are the pros and cons of Abyssals? And I'm curious, as we look through the list, has that changed? Is that the same? Like going into fourth, what did you guys love about Abyssals? What would have been your elevator pitch?
So I would say in third edition, my elevator pitch was Abyssals. I would say, with one exception of one unit, that's the army that felt right. Like, it's got the advantage, it's got the regen, it's got the ability. You can take any kind of list, a fast list, a grindy list, but it's also got weaknesses. So it was a very balanced list. I would kind of say that looking at fourth so far from what I've seen, again, who knows until we get all of the rules and we can really see how things actually interact, but it looks very much the same. I think they may be a little more grindy now with the regen and not having to worry about getting blasted off the table by elves turn one. So that'll be nice.
I think for me, there were a couple units in third that just made the army just super fun to play. Like, there's nothing like Bane-chanted Molochs hitting anything. The unit just disappeared in front of them. There were some really neat flying units. There were some really neat characters. I didn't understand why they kept nerfing lower abyssals, but whatever. And they were too expensive. But that was the pros. The cons were, it's just such a weird list because there was really no flying in general, and everything's def 4 for the most part, or 3, and against those late third shooting lists, it was really, really rough. I think the armies also doesn't play like it pins out on paper. You have to kind of do some weird stuff because a lot of the units are sort of unique compared to any of the other army lists that I've played. So
I played against Abyssals a lot towards the end of 3.5, right? And there was kind of 3 builds that I saw a lot of. One of them is the Berserker spam because it's really effective. The other one is lots of fiends and flying fiends, basically, and just tons of the big nasty monsters with shooting and just, get in your flanks. And then everybody's heard me lament my very good friend Brian Swatley's army with 3 Croniuses and the Well of Souls, which like the ultimate grind unit, which when backed up with a couple of hordes of Berserkers and some lesser abyssals for unit strength, very effective. So when I look at those things, I mean, it's sort of a mixed bag. Like on one hand, you do have a few different builds, but some of the builds are just that much better. And so I wonder if, the internal balance is really there. Because I know they even after the Clash of Kings, when they brought out like Nagiri and stuff, they've had to change some of those things, right?
Well, yeah, the Nagiri were basically a Band-Aid for an army that was just dying too fast, because it had the regen buff.
Well, let's tackle the next question from Daniel Haslam. He says he wants to know about the single Nagari, the bishop that's in the champions box. The answer to his question is no, that is not in the list, the single Nagari model.
But we do get the Bloody Cardinal that we'll talk about, which is the champions. So maybe let's touch first on what we've lost. And again, I bring us, as I try to bring us all into a group hug around some of this stuff, is that this is the basic list. So for better or worse, they've basicified a lot of these lists, right? That in prior to their invasion.
I would jump in here, Jeremy, and just say most of the lists have lost something, right? We've been through this before. Yeah, if you remember after Halby's Rift, like the Ogre list lost Nom Nom for a little while. But then he came back and it's a little bit different form. So I fully expect that maybe down the road when this gets in, when the Forces of the Abyss list gets put into one of those new fancy books, you'll get some new units, some new plastics.
We're definitely in the 1 step back before 2 steps forward, so I have every faith that they're going to add, and seeing, and hearing all the cool stuff in the factions that are getting their full list. Abyssals will not be, they will get some cool stuff, I think. But what we are losing is Abyssal Guard. Yeah, that was our unit. That was our sort of tough regiment's infantry block we did lose Abyssal Guard. Did you like to play? Did you have Abyssal Guard in your list, Blake, if I remember right?
I always have 3. And that rallying was fantastic. I was actually kind of working on a list where you put 3 out there, and then you put in between each of them, you put a flame bearer, because then flame bearers are now like 13, 15. And with the regen 4, because of the Nagari, you had a full line of dash 17, some of it was dash 18, and it was all 13, 15, and dash 17, 18. And that's really hard to chew through.
But when I think about it, like what might add in conjunction with model releases, that would make sense for a kick-ass.
They do have a model in the vault, and it was part of Ambush.
Yeah, but to see like a new plastic kit that makes, it could be a future release, right? If they want to bring
I would love that, because I mean the rallying fits totally with the lore, if you've read any of the books or anything, and I just like the fact that he had something that was a little tough to put up there, and
I will say at Michigan GT, when we did our little demo game, I asked Kyle about this. I'm like, oh, no Abyssal Guard, like a little surprised. He goes, yeah, we don't make a model for that. And then he turned to me, gave me a little wink, and said, yet.
Kyle knows I'd choke them out if they didn't. I don't know.
Yeah. So again, just like what Rob's saying, within that, if they're gone now, doesn't mean they're going to be gone forever. But we did also lose succubi larvae, which again was something they didn't really make a model for, right? Which I think you see some of the trends in this. The succubi larvae are gone.
Did anybody ever take them?
Just me.
Yeah. The first time I played Matt's Abyssals, he had them.
Really?
He's an animal, dude. He plays everything.
How did you use those? I mean, you don't need to answer me now, but I was just like, I couldn't figure out how to make them work right.
To be fair, Blake, Matt's a pretty good player.
I have a feeling he is, yes.
Heliquin Blood Mask, which we did have a unit for, right, from the initial Vanguard release, which was a cool design, but they didn't, I know that they've shared some stuff around different cav, right, of updating cav with like different heads to go with different races. So I wouldn't be surprised we get some sort of that in the future, but they're gone. The Berserker Apostate, which is the Berserker character, is now gone. No longer in the list.
Oh, and Zazu.
Zuzuzu, the Betrayer, which I know a lot of people loved him. The people who played Zuzuzu, he was the guy who could give wounds and get extra dice, for his spell casting. People liked him.
I ran him with the next one that we're losing, Bale, so I had 15 lightning bolt on a flank. So that was a nice little snipey combo.
And then our formation is gone, right? But formations are pretty much gone across the board, right? As they do the new list. So, and we asked Matt about that, right, Rob, in our episode if formations will ever return. And, they got all the levers. So if they need to pull that lever for balance or interesting stuff, that's a lever available to them.
Those usually don't come in till like later in an edition, though.
Mm-hmm.
But we talked about a little bit of what we've lost, but let's talk about what we still have. So we'll go through the core and auxiliary stuff first. So the first core unit we're going to take a look at is the Lower Abyssal, one of the mainstay units for Abyssals. It is an upper circle unit. You can get it in a troop, a regiment, or a horde. 75, 100, or 155 points. You can exchange shields for shields, your shields for two-handed weapons if you want. Or you can exchange your shields for two-handed weapons, get that defense down to 3, gain some crushing strength. Your speed 5, your melee 5, your defense 4, 10, 12, and 25 attacks, 11, 15, and 22 nerve, and they do keep regeneration 5+. So what's interesting here, in the troop and regiment, they went up in price, right? But in the horde, from the last edition, but in the horde, they've gone down in price a little bit. 155 points for a 22 nerve, 25 attack, regen 5. I mean, that's feeling like this may still be a good option to pick up some cheap bodies to start your battalion building.
I mean, it's been nerfed twice, so I have a sore spot there. I still think they're overcosted. No, I know all the costs are different now.
No, I'll say this: 100 points for 2 unit strength. I'll take it. Or 155
I see what you're saying. I see
Yeah.
what you're saying. Yeah.
And we should mention the troop is auxiliary. So that's the one size that, for every core unit, you can take an auxiliary unit.
And you bring up a good point, Rob, because the core unlocks are not related to unit size, right? It's unit type. So to get your 2 cores, that means it can be 2 regiments, a regiment and a horde, or 2 hordes. So you can, depending on how much you want to invest into core to get those unlocks, whereas in the previous edition, maybe you'd get a horde would give you more unlocks, whereas now a regiment of core gives you the exact same unlocks
Well, that
that a
gives you a
horde
lot
does.
of flexibility.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing on these guys, I think.
Yeah.
But pretty standard. I mean, your standard baseline infantry. Next on our list, we got the Succubi. These guys are interesting. I've always loved Succubi. Speed 6, which is the same, so no change there. Hitting on 3s, which is the same. Defense 3, which is the same. 15 and 20 attacks in the Trooper Regiment. Again, this is a unit where the troop is auxiliary, so keep that in mind for your list building. The nerve has gone up a little bit. They were 10, 12, 14, 16. Now they're 13 and 17, respectively. A little bit more expensive in the troop at 115, but the same price in the regiment at 150. They have ensnare and stealthy. No longer Fury Right because that rule is gone, but you can no longer give them the upgrade to get them Pathfinder and Wild Charge. That upgrade's gone.
Well, Matt, was it 6 at Michigan GT?
Yeah, 6 of them.
All right. What are your thoughts?
It makes sense. I mean, the reason I took 6 of them was because I could upgrade them and get all the Pathfinder and the Wild Charge D3. And again, looking at the last update, I just felt like that was a little too much. Like, man, that's really good. And nobody's taking them. I'll try them. So, 150, 115, that sounds about right, I think. Again, there's always the little caveat of we're not sure yet. But it seems like a good solid, okay, yeah, grab 2 of these, 300 points, grab a commander, there you go.
Yeah, I think one of the strengths of the Succubi back in 3rd was that upgrade because there's not a lot of terrain mitigation in the Abyssal Army.
I'll also say the upgraded nerve, really nice because those things pop really easy even with the ensnare. So a little extra is nice.
And I wonder, I don't know, we're going to do a fireside chat soon, Rob, and talk about takeaways. I wonder if the new environment, I have a tendency to think Berserker-style infantry is going to be better in the game.
Potentially less shooting, maybe.
Less shooting, and plus you only have 2 units per facing. Mm-hmm. So your volume of attacks, and since attack crushing strength, and that has gone down in general, volume of attacks at base values without the crushing is a little bit more powerful because you're not taking that and paying the opportunity tax of giving up 18 attacks from a large infantry horde with tons of extra crushing. So I just wonder, in general, is Berserker style regiment based infantry with those attacks, that unit strength, a little bit more survivability, are they just going to be a better choice? I wonder that.
Yeah, I mean, historically, I've taken Berserker type units and troops, and I think those are still going to be susceptible for being knocked out, right? Even though they're typically fearless. Well, I mean, everything's fearless, but they don't have huge nerve values, right? So I think they are susceptible to being shot off the table. But I think you're right on it. There's going to be some Berserker units that can come in regiment and hordes. I think they might see more play.
Yeah, I'm curious to see that, whether it's these guys or Sisterhood or half-elf Berserkers or whatever, up and down the list. And that was a unit that we hardly ever saw in 3rd, right? Hardly ever did we see regiments of Berserker infantry outside of maybe the Succubi, right? Because of all the defenses that they had to deliver in the combat. But
one final thing I'll say, too, is because of the way charges work now, you get to sort of pick your own path. Mm-hmm. I think there's the potential to avoid being hindered now a little bit easier.
Do you still center up?
Yes. Okay, well, next on the list, we got the tried and true flame bearers. In a lot of Abyssal armies, flame bearers were taken in throughout 3rd edition. So you can get it in a troop, which is an auxiliary or a regiment. Still speed 5, still hit on 5s and melee. This time they shoot on 5s instead of 4s, but remember there is that new rule that if you don't move, you get +1 to shooting. So I think you're going to see throughout the list a lot of shooting units win up 1 in shooting with that expectation. Still defense 3, still 8 and 10 attacks. Their nerve didn't change, right? So we're looking at, they were 9, 11, and 13, 15, and now they're 11 and 15. but their points is interesting. Troop, they were 115 and now they're 90. And as a regiment, they were 150 and now they're 120. So still regen 5 up, firebolts 18 with piercing 1. Can't take the imps anymore, but they did see a points decrease. This unit did.
So here's the thing about that. Number one, I think they were overcosted before, even though I took them. And now they don't have steady aim.
I don't think steady aim is a thing in the game anymore.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I'm just saying, I know, but that's where I think the points changes.
That is just a rule, as a concept of shooting, that's just gone, right? What's your guys' thoughts on the fact that if they don't move, they still shoot as effectively, right? But if they do move, like you said, Blake, they're not going to be shooting as well, but they're cheaper. Are they, is this kind of like a wait and see unit on, is the cheap enough to want to throw them into shooting? I mean, having stuff that can sit back on objectives and shoot is still pretty good. Are you kind of on the fence with this, or what do you think, Matt?
I've always kind of liked the unit anyway, just because it could deal those, those points of damage. It could sit on an objective and still have something to do. Again, in the meta that of 3rd edition against, elves or ogres, anything that could shoot more than 18 inches, not so great, but at the beginning they were really good. So I'm curious to see what their role is going to be in 4th. I think it could be a fun unit, and if nothing else, 120 points to unlock all the other stuff. Okay.
Yeah, I'd kind of rather almost have them over 90 point, Lower Abyssal, and I get the same unlock for it. For me, because Lower Abyssal's over 100. So for 20 points, you get shooting and about basically the same stats. Okay.
Yeah, if you're looking for that multiple medium unit or multiple small unit, and you're looking for what regiment am I going to use to unlock, maybe, Rob, you pick this unit over the Lower Abyssal.
Yeah, because, they both hit on the same in combat, right?
Right.
This guy has an extra range attack. So you're basically paying 20%.
20 points.
20 points, you're getting the extra little bit of, and it's piercing, which is not bad shooting, and it's got 18-inch range.
A lot of the units that I play now, and even some of the ones that I don't, are going to play very differently in a list because of the rule changes, not because of their changes per se. Like these, like Flame Bearers not having steady aim, you can't just march them up with your army, right? They have to now be basically short range archers. So, and like I said, for 20 points over a Lower Abyssal, I'm taking this every day.
Well, next on the list, we have an interesting unit to take a look at. These are the Hellhounds cavalry unit. You can get it in a troop or a regiment. It's still speed 9, still hits on 4s, still defense 4, 12 and 24 attack, so still the same as it was. Its nerve now is 12 and 16, so it was 10, 12, 14, 16 before. 110 points in the troop, so a little bit cheaper, went down from 120. 175 points in the regiment, so went down in price in the regiment. As far as its special rules, it's got Nimble and Thunderous Charge 1. But what is interesting, it lost that Furious Charge special rule, but it is no longer in the regiment. It's no longer irregular. So if you wanted to go super fast, you could take Hellhounds as your core unlocking choices, which is interesting. What are your guys' thoughts on this unit?
I've never tried them, tell you the truth. My two mains are these the Abyssals and Night Stalkers, and I always thought these Hellhounds look like more of a Night Stalker unit, and the Night Stalker ones look more like an Abyssal unit because they have regen. And so it was always just really weird. They seem like they swap places. Like I said, this is one of those units where I think, maybe I give these guys a try with the units that I'm seeing as a build.
So Hellhounds are interesting to me. I tried to make them work in 3rd when they got the Furious Charge rule, which is no longer a thing. Sorry, Felix. I liked it. But man, they unlock now. That's interesting, and it's expensive, But the biggest problem with Hellhounds in 3rd edition and 2nd edition, when I tried to run them, is if my opponent sneezed, they would die. Like, it didn't take any shooting at all. A 14, 16, man, I hit you 3 or 4 times, and then all of a sudden you're wavered, and then you're dead. It was bad. Those things just would go up. So with the changes to the shooting, I think there's actually a chance that they can stick around a little bit and actually get to a flank and get to where you can use that nimble and that charge. And yeah, I'll be curious to see what those do.
Merrick did ask us a question. Are Hellhounds worth taking? I think the fact that they're not a regular anymore, the fact that they're nimble, so does that mean if they add the double, they get 3 pivots?
Nimble is 2 pivots on the charge.
Okay, so nimble's maybe just specific to the charge.
Right.
Yeah, you don't get your extra pivot when you charge like you do when you move, but nimble maintain that. If you have a nimble, you
That's
still
pretty
get
awesome then.
Yeah, so this one will be I think this will be an interesting one to keep your eyes out for on these guys. Okay, next we got imps. I always love these cute little buggers. You back in the day, people would run them with hammer of measured force, right? Because they have so many attacks. Well, now previously you could get them in a regiment or a horde, and their horde is now gone. So you can only get imps as a troop now, and in the troop, speed 5 the same, melee 5 the same, defense 3 the same, 12 attacks, so still the same. Nerve, they were 10, 12, now they're 12. 65 points, same as they were before. They're one of those height 1 units, right? Specific, letting you know what their height is because they're a large infantry type, but they are height 1. And they're vicious in combat. So pretty similar to what they were before, you just can no longer get them in the larger size.
I mean, 65 points for chaff. That's pretty good. And height 1 does help because you can put a infantry unit behind them and then see over them, so you can do the double charge. Are they good? Not particularly, but they're 65 points, so sure, why not?
And we should mention that change too, right? We should also mention that they were a swarm before. Swarms don't exist anymore. They're just now large infantry with less height, basically.
Yes, they are considered large infantry, the same footprint. They just are height 1 based upon their special rules. Yeah, 65 points is cheap, right? And you know they're not going to get wavered because there is no wavered anymore. They're just going to be there or die. So, I don't know. I think some of this, it's going to be interesting to see how people, Blake, you mentioned it before, the rules changing, what units you want to pick. I think chaff in general is going to be very different in this new version. So
it's going to be totally useful because think about it. If you have something that you shoot at and it's close, you can fly like gargoyles or something over there just to pop it for 1 in a combat and get rid of it, right? So that any of the speed 10 units are going to be way more valuable than they were in the previous edition, just for that. Because now you can utilize that shooting to actually get rid of things.
Let's remember that when we get to some of the later units.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like these ones.
Yeah, we got gargoyles, tried true abyssal unit. It's a troop, so it's an auxiliary. So it's speed 10, same as it was before. Hits on 4s, the same. Defense 3, 10 attacks. Nerve of 8, 10, but it's now just 10. 105 points, so this is interesting. This is a unit that went up in price. It's got fly and regeneration 4 up. So what do we think about the new gargoyles?
Does fly have nimble incurred in it now?
No, I don't think so.
Fly gave you nimble in 2nd, but not in 3rd. So you've lost nimble and gone up 20 points? Yeah.
Just my thought, I think they still play a really good role. I mean, they are still speed 10. They can get where you want. They're still chaff if you need them. I mean, 105 points seems a bit more pricey for chaff. At the same time, just going on with what we mentioned earlier, I personally have talked about this to Rob. You can attest to this. I've been saying for a while, units that fly are way too cheap. They all need to have 20, 30 points added to them. And somebody, it looks like, agrees with me. So, I think it's still a very viable unit. And moving 20 inches and then getting a pivot or whatever. I mean, that's still awful good. So
Do you get a pivot at 20 inches without nimble, though?
Everyone starts with 2 pivots, but you lose one if you move at the double. So you get 1
Oh,
pivot. When
okay.
you're
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So I need to watch that game is what I need to do. And I think there's 2 of them.
Or just listen to our podcast. We would tell you.
Oh, dude, I listened to so many podcasts in the last 2 days. Remember, I didn't have a computer at work.
What's interesting to me, this unit is a unit that still hits on 4s, right? For 10 attacks, which is pretty good. And how many times with a 8-10, you're so easy to waver that if you take 1 or 2 damage, now you can take 1 or 2 damage and maybe not die. And then it's another 10 attacks. So, but it is expensive, right? So it's just going to come down to, I think, your overall game plan on if we see these guys.
These aren't really bad to just kind of hide for a couple of turns and then have them jump lines and do weird things back there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think we may be playing a more layered deployment style in this game in general, right? So there might be a space for like a second or third wave with these guys.
Keep in mind too, these guys are upper circle, so that means Unholy Shield can be played on them, so you can get them 1+ defense for shooting to the front.
Yeah, this is a good point for sure. Give them that protection. Pretty much that's our core. So short and sweet. We're moving into our specialists. So our first specialist, and this is where we're going to see a big change, right? And we've seen this change across the edition, which is to Cav. So you can get Abyssal Horsemen. They come in a Trooper Regiment, still speed 8, still hit on 3s, still have defense 5, 9 and 18 attacks, which is what they had before. This was one of those horseman units that we saw, right, that was beginning to have those sort of newer idea of having more attacks with horsemen. 13, 16 nerve, so still the same nerve. They are also upper circle. They're fearless, regeneration 5 up. They lost their 1 crushing, but they did gain 2 thunderous charge, so they are thunderous charge 3 now. 160 points in the troop. Troop is 15 points more expensive, and still 225 in the regiment.
Yeah, I think we were seeing a little bit more on the thick chaff, and I think that's obviously played out in the cost increase, because they are pretty effective at the troop level.
I really liked them at the regiment level, and you got that big hit right off the get-go, but with the Nagiri, you had such a good grinding unit with the Crush 1 that you could Bane Chant if you needed to. I think these are going to be really good. I enjoy using them, and if you can dodge terrain, they can be really, really mean.
Hindered is a problem for these guys, because if they're hindered, they lose all their thunder charge. But that is in your wheel. It's in your own power to avoid the hindered charge now. Now you can use your own path. Let's answer Garrett's question. He says Abyssal Cavalier apparently in the new book. Does that imply they're going to get any updated model release of some kind? So, I mean, this is a basic army. So they still have the Restic models, but they've also released at least 1 sculpt of these, maybe 2, on the Vault. So they have released a sculpt of this on the Vault. So I would think in the interim, print to your heart's content. But this is one, Matt, they've got to give us a new sculpt at some point, right?
I would agree. At some point, it's the old Rustics are not great.
They're garbage, Matt. You can say it. They're garbage.
They're terrible.
No, I mean, I thought the Heliquins were cool. They were a little static in their posing from Vanguard, but I would for them to sort of inspire the look of Abyssal Horsemen. But yeah, we need a new kit for this unit for sure. But like you said, if you can use your spacing, get proficient at setting up your charges so that you can move around difficult terrain when you charge with these guys, 18 attacks on 3s, TC3, that's gonna give someone a bad day. So, okay, next we got Tortured Souls. You can get it in a Trooper Regiment. And looking at how it's changed, it's still speed 8, still hits on 4s, still defense 4. Its attacks have gone down 8 and 16 from 9 and 18. So it's kind of taken that large infantry and gone down a little bit. Its nerve is 14, 17. It's 135 in the regiment. Sorry, in the troop. 190 in the regiment now. It's no longer a horde, right? This is one of those that's changed from to a troop regiment as opposed to a regiment and a horde, just for naming conventions, right? Crushing Strength 1, which is still the same. It's Fearless. It flies. It's Thunderous Charge 1 and Life Leech 2, and it's Height 2. So basically, it's gone down 10 points and then gone up 15 points in the troop. But this unit's pretty similar to what it was.
I think the one thing to call out is that they're now a troop and a regiment, so that's 1 and 2 unit strength.
So with the changes to, how pivots work, it makes these guys really strong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because before they didn't have nimble, so now they have effectively nimble, right? From what I'm understanding, which makes these guys ruthless. Now you're flying around, you're pivoting, you're dodging units until you can start getting some flanks and rears. And now bad things can occur.
Yeah, you just wouldn't have the extra pivot on the charge, but you'd have the extra pivot when you need it. We do want to answer Luke's question. He says, does my all tortured souls list still work? Well, technically, these are specialists.
So no.
So the answer is no, right? You could take up to 4 specialists in a battalion, but they have to be unlocked by 4 core units. If you wanted the theme, you could take 4 units of gargoyles, right? And to unlock 4 tortured souls. And you could take multiple battalions of that. So I don't know how many chaff pieces Luke had. He likes wings. So, and he likes heavy hitting flying units. So it sort of works, but no, you have to unlock the tortured souls now.
I do think it's funny that the only unit, that the only flying unit in an army full of demons doesn't have wings.
Yeah, the model has always been a bit of a little bit of a miss, and it's because it was a resin sculpt from the very for the Kickstarter for second edition. Mm-hmm. They had this guy and then they added a few more sculpts that are these guys with.
And the other thing that's funny about them is they're flying, but they're all chained to the ground.
Right.
All right. Well, guys, it's time. Everybody wants to know what we're going to say about this next unit. So let's get in and let's pour one out for my homies because they're maybe not quite as good as they used to be. They are specialists, and this is where the Berserkers are. They are large infantry. They now are a troop in a regiment rather than a regiment and a horde and have that same reduction in unit strength. They are speed 7 versus speed 9, which is a big change. Still hit on 4s. Still have defense 4. They have the same attacks. Their nerve values unchanged. Yes, they are slower, but the troop is now 10 points more. Okay, that's maybe to quit some of the spammy stuff. But the regiment is 20 points less, and they still have crushing strength 1, regeneration 5, and now they have retaliate because they had fury before. And for those who don't remember, retaliate is if you're engaged with 2 units, then you can retaliate against one of them, and that gives you those attacks allocated to that unit, crushing strength 1. But they also have wild charge 1 now. So yes, they're speed 7 versus speed 9, but they are still charging 15.
I have a weird question that just popped into my head. Can you charge 2 units?
I think you can only issue a charge against 1 unit, but you can be engaged with multiple units. But again, we haven't seen the full charge or movement rules, so that might get clarified in there, obviously, so some of these nuances, don't quote us. We love you guys and we know you. Well, Jeremy said that I could do this and now I can't and I'm going to.
But in all seriousness, 30 attacks is not terrible for 220 points.
Melee 4, man. You see me roll.
Let's do a comparison. Let's do a comparison to the Ogre Berserkers. So Berserker Braves are also specialists. They are speed 6. They are hitting on 4. They still have 30 attacks, and they are a whopping 215 points.
And what's the defense on those ogres?
They're 4, yeah. But they have the same nerve. So they are, 25 points less. But for that, you're getting more speed. You're getting retaliate. You're getting regen. Maybe the Braves are still better at 215 for 30 attacks. But all right, now it's time to get to the support units, and we'll start off with Molochs.
Molochs. So coming in troop and a regiment. They are melee 3, defense 4, 10 attacks, and 20 attacks. So That's a little change right there. Nerve 16 plus for the troop and 19 plus for the regiment, coming in at 150 points and 220 points. So first of all, I mean, a few extra attacks where we don't have the Despoiler Champion.
They're cheaper. They have more nerve and more attacks, but less unit strength.
The thing I wanted to talk about on this one, this is why I've told a lot of people, hey, let's get to the rules before we make a lot of determinations on a lot of stuff. I think Molochs are getting a stealth buff. Blake, maybe maybe I'm just a terrible player, but I always had trouble with that really wide 150 millimeter frontage, and then you're trying to squeak it in and get it behind other units and get into the combats and not clip your own units and all that kind of stuff. From what I understand of the charging rules and being able to kind of get through your own stuff, like these can actually have some chaff in front of it and then go in and actually hit stuff without having to do all the weird maneuvering. So I'm thinking, again, I could be wrong on some of this, but that seems like a huge upgrade just from the rules, not even the stats.
That, and you can't shoot them off.
Right.
To Matt, your point, charges are going to be easier, but also now with the withdraw, if you did have something in front, you could withdraw them right back through the Molochs and then charge the Molochs in.
Well, you move them sideways, I guess. I don't know.
No, a withdraw goes right straight back, right? And you move through your own unit. Again, folks, if you haven't followed this yet, Blake doesn't listen to our show, so he's not hip on what's going on.
Dude, I listened to like 5 podcasts in the last day and a half, man. Give me a break. But you know what? The Despoiler Champion, I'm crying for that one because getting vicious and brutal was godlike.
Still, 20 attacks is pretty good. To me, this makes it feel like it's Abyssal's marquee combat unit, which is what it was. A lot of people felt anyway, and it just doubles down on that as it's a -19 regen 5 behemoth that has 20 attacks on 3s with Crush 2 and Retaliate. And this is a unit that to kill, you're going to want to double charge it, right? So this is a unit that's Retaliate is probably going to get usage out of.
Well, Blake, since you seem to be in love with the Nagari, why don't you walk us through the Nagari and how they've changed from 3.5 to 4?
All right. Well, they're speed 7 instead of 6 now. They're melee 3 instead of 4. They are defense 4, which is the same. They still have 12 attacks. Their nerve is 15, and they're 175 points for 15 points. They don't have the aura anymore, but they do have Crush 2 instead of Crush 1. They have Pathfinder. They have Rallying. They have Retaliate, and they have TC1. So if you get a clean charge, you got Crush 2, Thunder 1, hitting on 3s. I'm good.
And we should note that Pathfinder no longer prevents being hindered in difficult terrain. It just lets you go at the double through the difficult terrain. But yeah, I mean, these guys are, for 15 points, the extra speed and the extra output of damage. I mean, you're hitting on 3s, Crushing Strength 2, Thunder Charge 1. Not bad.
Well, and I think, to me, the Nagari seemed like a Band-Aid to make an army that was not really all that competitive, like be able to hang around and be competitive. This makes it seem like the Nagari is almost a fresh unit that actually looks like the model and plays like the model looks.
20 nerve Moloch sounds pretty good too, right? No, I think these guys are great. I'm with you too. I think this is a big glow up as far as the unit, and it feels more consistent with what they look like as models. I completely agree with you, Blake, but I love the change to these guys.
Yeah, believe me, I'm going to be missing that aura of something fierce, but I do like this unit a lot.
And by the way, we should have mentioned they did get an update to 3+ melee after the Clash of Kings book.
Sure.
Right.
So the question that we had, when you compare the Berserkers to the Molochs to the Nagari, how do they stack up? The Berserkers are special, whereas the Molochs and Nagari are support. Right off the top, you can get more Berserkers easier than you can to get the Molochs and the Nagari.
I think they fill different roles.
Right.
I think that a lot of times people will take the Nagari almost depending on how they're building the army instead of Molochs. Because of the Pathfinder, because there's not a lot of terrain mitigation in the thing. If you took, and then also they have retaliate and they've got the rallying, which ups all your units.
When I look at these 3 units, they have distinct roles about what they want to fight.
Mhm.
So then on the one end, you've got Nagari, which are crushing 2, thunder 1. They only have 12 attacks, but they hit on 3s, and what they hit, they're going to wound typically, right? So those are the ones that I'm going to throw into the defense 6 and defense 5 stuff, right? The Molochs are in the middle of the pack. They've got the crushing shrink 2, but they hit on 3s, and they've got 20 attacks in the regiment. Again, they don't have the extra thunder charge that Nagari has, but they have more attacks. I don't know how the math works, but it feels like Molochs and Nagari are close, but both would want to be hitting a little bit heavier units. Then you go to the Berserkers where you have 30 attacks on 4s, but only the crushing 1, right? So those are more, I want to go after units that have lower defense.
I kind of agree with all of you on that one. I would say the Berserkers are faster. I know they're not as fast as they used to be, but at the same time, I mean, speed 7, so 14 inches, wild charge 1, 15 inches. That's nothing to sneeze at. That outdistances a lot of infantry and a lot of other things. So, I would say they've still got a role. They can still be fast. They can still, that's still your group that you can move around and do some things with. Whereas kind of looking at the Molochs and the Nagari, those are the ones you want to sit behind some nice chaff units and then punch something in the face. Like, less cagey with them, I guess is a good way to put it.
It feels like they have different roles now. You just mentioned even the charge distances. You've got 12 from the Molochs, you've got 14 from the Nagari, and you've got 15 from the Berserkers. And they have different amount of attacks, different amount of, crushing and thunder charge. So I think there's some interesting plays there. And I guess
all good, Rob. It's just depending on where in your strategy do they fit, right?
Yeah. Well, let's get into my favorite units that I love. Brian is waiting patiently for me to talk about these units. So let's talk about them. We are still in support. And let's start with the Cronius. Okay. So the Cronius is still a monster. He is still speed 6. He still hits on 3s. He's still defense 5. Attacks are the same. Nerve is the same. He has gone up by 10 points. And he still has Cloak of Death. He's still crushing string 3. He's fearless. And he is Strider. So all that's the same. So he still has temporal ruptures. As stated now, for each point of damage the Cronius causes in combat, you may remove a point of damage from a single friendly unit within 6 inches, which has either the upper circle or middle circle trait. So most of that's the same. But what Brian is going to lament when I just tell him this, the Well of Souls is low as circle. You cannot heal the Well of Souls with Croniuses anymore. But other than that, he's 10 points more, and he's basically the same, guys. Am I missing that?
Pretty much. It looks the same. I will also say he can, since he's upper circle, he can get Unholy Shield on him. So now we're sitting at defense 6 against shooting. So that's kind of nice. I know people like to try and snipe him off the board.
And healing damage off a Well of Souls with a Cronius is just lame. Well of Souls is bad enough, let alone healing damage on it with Cronius.
Let's talk about the Well of Souls. This is the first unique unit we've got on the list. So that means you can only have one Well of Souls in your army, regardless of how many battalions you have. He's still a monster. He's still speed 8. He's still melee 4+. He's still defense 4+. He still has 10 attacks. He's 20 nerve. He's actually went down in points by 15. He was 290. Now he's 275. He's crushing shrink 2. He's fearless. He flies. He's life leech 5. And then they've changed it. It used to be called Soul Drain. Now it's called Demonic Life Force. When the Will of Souls receives an order, it may put up to 20 points of damage on itself. However, this cannot mean it then has suffered more than 20 damage in total. For each point of damage it suffers in this way, immediately remove 1 point of damage from any friendly unit within 9 inches. No nerve test is taken for suffering. I think that's exactly the same
Yeah, it's not inspiring anymore.
Okay, I missed that. So he lost inspiring, but then he lost 15 points. So I don't know, guys. He's still pretty good.
So next we got the Fiend. It's going to be a type Titan. So remember, in all effects, it's a monster, but it's on the larger base size because of the type Titan. So it's still speed 7, still hits on 3s, still defense 5, still 7 attacks, still 17 nerve. It has gone up in points from 175 to 205. So let's see if we can kind of figure out where that's come from. So it's still brutal, still has crushing strength 2. It's rallying now for upper circle units only, which is nice. Some more. We're seeing a couple rally options, right?
Well, it was inspiring before completely. So.
Okay, so it's lost inspiring, but it has rallying, retaliate, and vicious, and Fireball 5 instead of Fireball 10, right? Because Fireball now explodes.
Okay, so I'm gonna go full Jesse Cornwall. Why no Strider?
You got me.
Oh, look, there's a hedge. I can't. I'm gonna trip over it. Come on, man. Come on. It was height 6, and it didn't have Strider. What the heck?
Well, that's your campaign now for 4th edition, is to give Abyssal Fiend Strider.
Oh, I've been preaching as much as I could, but it's like, okay, the Cronius has got it, but not this guy. Nope.
Seems like a good unit. I mean, the rally is kind of nice with other units. Losing inspiring kind of hurts, but
the 7 attacks, it doesn't have the rampage or any of that other stuff either. It just seems like even the new one seems like an old unit. Like it seems like a not a 3rd edition, even 2nd edition unit, right? It just, yeah. But I do like the rallying. That's awesome. But rallying doesn't stack now, from what I heard in your podcast earlier today.
Yeah, that's right. It caps at 1.
But still, solid unit. It is a little bit more expensive, but again, you get that rally, which may or may not be good for your strategy.
I'm Mark Barber. I sound like a villain from the original Star Wars trilogy, and you're listening to Countercharge.
All right, Jeremy. Well, I think it's time to get us into the champions.
Okay, so we'll do our champions first, right? So these are your first, sort of level of hero. We got the Despoiler champion. So he is a Despoiler 2. So that means you can, if in each battalion, you can have up to 2 Despoilers. It's a large infantry hero, still speed 6, hits on 3s. It's gone from defense 5 to defense 4, but it's gone from 5 attacks to 6 attacks. It's 14 nerve. It's gone from 130 to 155. It's brutal 1, crushing strength 2, inspiring, regeneration 5, retaliate, and vicious.
So how do I know which ones can cast the army special?
All can.
The champions will have 2 dice to cast it, and the warlords will have 3.
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, I was wondering why things were going up.
As a reminder, you can only have up to 4 champions / warlords in your battalion, and you can only have 1 of those can be a warlord. So you could have 3 champions and 1 warlord if you want to. But as you just said, Blake, the cost of champions across the board have gone up in price.
So how many battalions can you have?
As many as you want. The thing we're talking about here is if you're talking about the spoilers, you could take 4 core units, and that would unlock 2 hero slots, basically.
Right. Looking at how you build stuff and knowing that Alessio just rewrote Bolt Action 3rd edition, it's so reminiscent.
And Matt did give us a question before he knew he was going to be on the cast. He did say, do any of the commanders or warlords change the list construction? And we'll just say, no, they do not.
Yeah, and again, we see a points increase in all the champions and warlords, but again, we haven't seen all the rules yet. So maybe there are other things in there around heroes that is the reason why they're more expensive, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Here's the question with the warlocks, and again, I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm helping people understand the rules by playing stupid myself. That's what I'm doing, really. Can I use my points to put, like, let's say I have a warlock standing next to a lower abyssal. Can I put that fireball on there and cast my own firebolt?
To answer your question, yes, you can issue a command on a different unit, and you can shoot yourself.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Mhm.
Are your gears turning, Matt?
Oh yeah, definitely. Blast D3. Yeah, okay.
So why don't one of you guys take us through the Warlock?
This is one of my favorite units. I love these guys. And now I understand why the points went cuckoo. It's melee 4, and it was melee 4. The shooting is on 5s. The defense is 4. The attacks is 5. 13 for the nerve, and 150 points for the new warlock.
130 points.
Oh, 130. Sorry, I got to put on my readers. I'm getting old like Rob. And then it has inspiring regen +5, firebolt 18, and with piercing 1, and with being able to do a command and then this, it makes them seriously potent, because you could command, a shooting attack, and then if you wanted to have the drain life lock, then you're doing some work.
I would also say it looks like, Inspiring got stripped off of our other options with the Fiend and the Well of Souls. So I'm thinking, again, I don't know yet, but I'm thinking that these are the units that get Inspiring, and that's another reason why the point cost went up, just because you don't have other choices. You have to take Inspiring with these guys.
That's an interesting observation or idea, yeah.
And you can still take Bane Chan and Drain Life. The old one had access to Veil of Shadows and Blood Boil. Those are now part of the Arcane Library, and you can still take those as well if you want to.
Right, because this has the Spellcaster trait.
Correct.
I think it's interesting to have the Warlock who, in the movement phase, right, issues his command to give another unit Fireball, and then gets to also shoot or cast spells in his own. So he's kind of like a little force multiplier.
Yeah, that's what. I love it.
And I just love that idea of the initial abyssal flame barrage as all their Griblies are running towards you to soften you up. So that's an interesting. There's going to be some fun play there, I think.
And I think we mentioned it before. The commands are issued in the movement phase.
Yes.
Are they issued before or
anytime during the movement phase you want to do
okay,
it.
That's awesome.
So the Harbinger, you can have up to 2 of them: hero, infantry, speed 5, melee 5, shooting 5, defense 4, 2 attacks, nerve 12 plus for 95 points. So it's gone up 30 points from what it was. Individual regen 5 plus, very inspiring, and then firebolt 18 with pierce 1.
So you lost the aura for Rampage melee 3, right? And you lost the ability to mount him.
Correct. Yep.
Big deal. You want him in the midst of your guys because he's very inspiring, and there's things that are very inspiring that can follow the fast stuff. So it's not a loss. That the aura, I tried it with a bunch of builds, and you got like 1 wound, and that's not all that amazing. And it had to be against certain units too.
I just wonder now, though, with standard bearers in general, everyone I've seen has lost their special, like Aura Strider, and in addition, like you would normally put a Loot of Insatiable Darkness on this guy, but that's not a thing anymore. That magical artifact doesn't exist. So I'm struggling to think about how I would use the now. Again, as Jeremy said at the top of the show, this is Rob thinking about 3.5. He gets a command, right? Like that. There's commands that he can play as well.
He's cheaper, but he might be a sit on the shelf until they get their update. You know what I mean? He might just be like a just not super exciting choice. He just kind of, not every unit is going to get taken every time, right? In an army list.
My take on this, and I didn't understand why he went up in value, because nobody was playing him after we all tried to use the aura, and it didn't really pan out for things, but very inspiring. And then that firebolt, along with being able to do the command, could be a thing, right? You have that, like Jeremy said, that wall of fire go out before you contact those, those units in front of you. And that really, I mean, every point counts, right? I still think that's probably not going to get taken, but,
I would say at 95 points, you take him, you take 2 lower abyssal regiments, you've spent 295 points, and now you get to start unlocking the specialist and all the other stuff. So, if you're just wanting cheap,
what's the cheapest I can do my 2 cores and my one hero to get unlocked? He fits that spot. Right?
Yeah, flame bearers.
So next, let's talk about the Efreet. He's limited to 2 per battalion. He's still speed 7 and melee 5 and defense 4. He's got the 1 attack. He's actually went down in nerve because he used to be 11-13 and now he's just 11 plus. But he actually went down in points. He's only 105 now instead of 115. Now here's the interesting thing. I'm pulling out my chicken bones and stuff. He is individual, yielding, and Fireball 7. So he used to be Fireball 15. Now he's Fireball 7. Fireball 7 is not terrible because it's Fireball, Blast 3.
It could be 21.
Or I guess he doesn't have Inspiring, which, would be nice, but be Fireball 7 for 105 points?
I just miss Teleport with him.
I don't know. I'm kind of just starting to think about an Abyssal list that just is like, choke on my Fireball, buddy. Open a Great Balls of Fire. I can bring my little piano with me and I start playing it while we're playing Abyssals. I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. That's the exciting part of a new edition.
Absolutely. Next week, we have a question from Daniel. He says, how does the Bloody Cardinal fit and transfer across from Champions? Does he feel the same? So what Daniel's referring to is that in the Champions box, we have this Bloody Cardinal, which is, basically a giant
killer model.
Killer model, right?
Yeah.
I need one of those Champions boxes so I can have him. I have other Champions boxes, just not my Abyssal one or the Night Stalker one, which the Night Stalker one, the Bloody Cardinal's way cooler, and the Goblin one's way cooler.
For sure. We should mention this is the last champion that we've got until we get to Warlords now. But this is the last champion, and this is the Bloody Cardinal. He is unique, so you can only have him once. He's Hero Large Infantry. He's speed 5. 3+ melee, 4+ defense, 6 attacks, 14 nerve, and 140 points. And he has Crushing Strength 2, Dread, Inspiring Life Leech 3, and 50 millimeters base. Now, I've played him in Champions. That sounds pretty close, I think, to what he has in Champions. Obviously, Champions is a slightly different game, right? But now he has Dread. Maybe it was within 9 inches in Champions, but to answer Daniel's question, I mean, stat-wise, I think it's compatible.
It says sizes 1?
Well, it's 1 model on a base is what that means.
Oh, okay. I think for 50 points or whatever it is, less than the Fiend, I'm taking this guy.
The model is amazing. The paint job that Glenn did on him for some of the box artwork, it's chef's kiss. Matt, we're into Warlords. You were the first one to run me over with this person with the Gnome Glass Shield and just ruin my whole weekend. So
the Seductress, possibly every Abyssal player's favorite individual hero. So it's a hero infantry, speed 10, melee 3, defense 4, 7 attacks, nerve 14. And you can take Enthrall 6 for 20 points, Wind Blast 6 for 20 points. She is Crush 1, Duelist D3, Ensnare, Fly, Individual, Inspiring, and Stealthy. And if you're ready for it, everybody, 195 points. She jumped up 65 points. Kind of go back, Blake, to what you said earlier about, Fly and the advantages they might have in this edition. If that's the case, the pricing makes perfect sense.
And she's a Warlord too, so maybe, I don't know if we've seen everything that a Warlord offers you.
Before she takes off, she can drop, whatever spell on wherever she's at. Can you cast on yourself with those commands?
I think you have to pick another unit.
Because I was wondering if you could make yourself less inclined to be shot at, so you could be stealthy and have def 5. So you'd have like a baby Gnome Glass Shield for shooting.
And again, we haven't seen the full individual rules yet either.
That's just a guess.
Yeah, we're doing the best we can here with, what we can share.
Yeah, she could just fly in, and now with 7 attacks guaranteed, she
Mhm.
can punch someone who's kind of teetering on the brink that needs 2 or 3 to really put them over.
Yeah, because she gained 2 attacks, right? So that's nice. Pick up a couple extra attacks.
I kidded her out. She was 170. Those 2 attacks was kind of what I averaged with Ho Shadow Beast 3, and that didn't hurt me. The Gnome Glass Shield's kind of because that really saved my bacon a few times. But being able to cast with 3 dice those command orders and future command orders, I could see the 195 being pretty useful. I never used Enthralled or Windblast. Did you, Matt?
No, not really. If I was going to use her, I wanted her inside fighting somebody.
If she had like Shakira's thing where you could enthrall people into you, I would have taken it, but no. Or if it did damage, no. But yeah, not. You don't have enough of it in your army to make it useful.
Did you mention the Gnome Glass Shield's no longer a thing?
Yeah, that is no longer an item, so you will no longer be able to give your sweet, sweet seductress her Gucci Gnome Glass handbag. Is gone, unfortunately.
You can't have everything.
Can't have nice things.
I think she's going to do some work.
Well, next we got Abyssal Warlord, who I think is kind of like equivalent, I guess, of the Abyssal Champion. Would you guys say? Speed 5, hits on 3s, defense 5, 5 attacks, 16 nerve, which is nice. The champion was 13-15. Crushing 2, individual, inspiring, regen, retaliate, and vicious for 170 points. A more beat stick, a more fighty type character.
I ran him for a while with the wings. People hated him just as much as the seductress. Because I could tie up units for 2-3 turns sometimes, and a seductress and Bale would be doing work on the other end.
This guy, as of now, does not have the wings, right?
Yeah,
so he's the more basic. He's your basic B version of the Abyssal Warlord.
I think it's funny they give him retaliate because people are going to double charge him, and what is he going to split 5 attacks? What the heck?
You have 1 for you, 1 for you, 2 for you.
Yeah, it's just like, come on, man.
Yeah, that does seem kind of weird on him a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and 170. Jeez, Louise.
Yeah, this one I'm a little less on Great Balls of Fire around this guy.
The Harbinger makes more sense than this.
Yeah, I don't know if I love this guy.
The Nerve 16 is intriguing to me because that's more than a regiment.
That's interesting, yeah. But he's going to be on a bigger base. You can't triple charge with him, so.
Okay, well, the Archfiend we have, he's still speed 10. He is a hero titan, so on that bigger base size. Hits on 3s, defense 5, 9 attacks, dash 19, so that's 19 nerve. All the same as what he was. He's 315 instead of 300. So again, paying that character tax. He's brutal 1. So crushing strength 3. He flies, iron resolve, which is interesting. Regeneration, and he also has retaliate and vicious in combat.
The iron resolve for 15 points is pretty good.
And when you're dash, because there's nothing worse when you have iron resolve than when you're wavered, right? Because you don't get the iron resolve. So I think iron resolve as a special rule is much better now because if you don't die, you're guaranteed to benefit from it. Yeah, so I think this guy's solid if you want a big honkin' flying monster warlord.
I mean, and regeneration. Thank you.
Yeah, 19 regeneration 5. That's good.
Just as a fun list, I ran the Lord of Lies and Archfiend and Bale, and that was pretty fun.
Okay, we got the Lord of Lies, one of probably the coolest Mantic Abyssal models. Love this guy.
He needs to be holding a guitar, though.
Well, that's your conversion, man. You got to have him holding a guitar, and then you got to green stuff a stogie, and then put it right in there.
and sideburns?
Yeah, and sideburns, and then there you go. The Lord of Blake. He's speed 10, hits on 3s, 5 defense, same, 9 attacks, same, 19 nerve again is same.
It's the same as the thing, but with the Seeds of Distress. which actually went off in the 2 games that I played this.
Yeah, so hit Seeds of Distrust as well. Within 6 inches of this unit, enemy units cannot gain special rules or any other effects from their own command orders.
Yeah, that's different than the last one because
So if you're near him, you can't use your command orders. Iron Resolve, so Inspiring, Regeneration 5, Slayer 3, and Vicious in Combat. So again, another one of those big bodies with regen and Iron Resolve. So that's pretty survivable. If you don't pop these guys with Iron Resolve and regen on a flying base who can move around a little bit, and he's gone up to 345. So 325 to 345, so but still seems worth taking.
Yeah, if you build like that, then yeah, because like you said, he can cast something off on somebody. And
all right, so Basusu the Vile, hero infantry, speed 10, melee 3, defense 5, 7 attacks, 16 plus nerve, with crush 2, fly, individual, inspiring, regen 5. And that comes in at 230 points. So a little bit of an increase. Oh, and it's a unique, so you only can take 1.
I tried him at the beginning. Just too much for what he was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see in the glow up, will they give something with Basusu around gargoyles? That would be really cool because they had that right before which are gone, his handpicked or upgrading gargoyles. But that would be a cool thing to add in, like his iron, his royal guard or something. So something to think about maybe when they get their glow up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's an abyssal dwarf character. It just feels funny in this army.
Okay, next we got Machibusu, which for me is one of the models I love. I just really love this model.
That model is killer.
She's awesome.
Really good. Kind of like, I guess, your special succubus character. Okay, so she's coming in at speed 10, hits on 3s in melee, defense 4 is the same, 7 attacks. Her nerve has gone up, which is nice. 15 nerve. Yeah, attacks have gone up from 5 to 7, so a couple more extra attacks, a little bit more. So I think there is a trend with a lot of these characters. They're a little bit more chunky, right? They're a little bit more staying power, a little bit more fighting power. She's got brutal D3. She's got crushing strength 1, duelist D3, ensnare, fly, individual, inspiring, retaliate, stealthy. She's got all the rules for 225.
Nobody ever took her before because they just took the seductress, but with the brutal D3 and the point of extra nerve, that makes her kind of, and she's going to fly over and do that, punch that unit that's on its last legs from shooting. Yeah.
We do have a couple listener questions, and Troy Hill said, hey, he thinks Force of the Abyss is going to be his new 4th edition army, and he just wants to know, generally speaking, guys, what are your thoughts on the army? You guys play it. What are kind of your takeaways? And then he specifically is asking about, hey, like the big bads, like the Croniuses, because I know Matt has been a fan of double Cronius before. Generally, when you guys want to start us off with, what are your general thoughts on the army? And then what about Croniuses and the other big bad monsters?
I think this feels like a rewrite of the army, which it is, obviously. But at the end of 3rd, it felt like they were just throwing Band-Aids on the army to make it serviceable. This feels like you could write something that makes sense, that's competitive, that's thematic, and some of the units that nobody ever took are right on point with being playable with a certain play style, right? I think I'm going to have a lot more fun with it in 4th than I did in 3rd. That's the way I'm going to put it. The big bads, when they stop letting you overlap the Cloak of Death, that was a thing. That's when I stopped playing double Croniuses. But there are things that I've had fun with. I still think, in a way, unless you're building for that, because I know like Jesse Garrett builds for it and it works really well. The Well of Souls, I still think is kind of a trap. For the points, you can get like 2-3 units, and that's a lot more than 20 points of damage that you can take off. And I think that this definitely feels like a more of a cohesive. It's built to work together rather than, like I said, the Band-Aids that third had.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm already thinking I could do a infantry heavy type of list. I could do with the Hellhounds being core and unlocking. I could run Hellhounds and we could go speed. If I want the big bads, they with the changes to movement and all of that, I think that's a possibility. Something I haven't thought about at all since second edition. Man, that fireball and then the order, that seems a little shooting's been nerfed. I get that, but at the same time, that's awful cheap to throw all that. So I don't know.
Our freaks are a thing again, I think.
I hope so. I love those models. Those are so fun. And okay, well, so I'm excited to see where this goes and how it's going to fit into the new play styles and how all that's going to go. I suspect it's going to have a really interesting role because it's not elite, but we're also not horde. We're kind of in between, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays. With the others, like I'm expecting when goblins show up, there's going to be about 5 million goblins. How does this compare to that?
I think with all that fireball, there's going to be a lot less goblins.
Well, we did have a question from Adrian Scott. He just wants to know, what are your thoughts on? I'd love to know your thoughts on what you feel the pressure points will be in the list building. For instance, will taking multiple Abyssal Fiends force players to forego other popular units? So maybe talk about that, specifically looking at the support units. I mean, support's got a couple heavy hitters. You got Cronius, right? And you have you've got the feed to there as well, right? But you also have Molochs and Nagari, right? So like what do you feel is going to be the sweet spot? Where are there auto takes? You got to have these units. I'm feeling maybe not, but what do you guys think?
That's a time will tell thing. Because I don't think anybody, like when third started, I don't think anybody thought seductresses were a thing. But man, did they turn into everybody's favorite, fly in the ointment for the other guy, and, things will pin themselves out. But I'm already seeing 2 or 3 different build styles that look pretty strong and maybe some possible weird play things that work, and with the command orders, it's going to be an interesting thing to see how those play out. If this is what they're giving us for a basic army, I'm like super stoked to see what they give us with the additions.
So next up we have Dan, and he said, hey, how are lists going to change? And so he was just thinking, like, if you have a list from 3.5, what would that look like in version 4? So Matt, I know you took a tournament list and you've converted it over, and you want to share it with us?
Sure. So this Saturday and Sunday here in Indianapolis, we're running the Ohio War Kings tournament. So I'm taking 2 Abyssal Guard, 4 regiments of Succubi, each with the Succubi Lurker, 3 Abyssal Horsemen, Blood of the Old King, Blessings of the God, and Boots of Striding, 3 Tortured Soul regiments, an Abyssal Harbinger, and the Well of Souls. So I went through, looked at that, and I'm like, all right, well, what would happen in 4th to that list? So obviously no Abyssal Guard, so there's 180 points. There's no Succubi Lurkers, so there's another 80 points. Save 15 points with the Well of Souls. So it's like, okay, looking good. But the Tortured Souls would run me 45 points extra, and the Harbinger would be 30 points extra. So in total, I'm losing 2 units, but I would be adding 290 points that I would spend on something else. I would make the argument a lot of the super competitive list are Berserkers, and I'll let you all go back and do the podcast and listen to that part and figure out the points there. But, that would be a pretty good size change for a lot of people. I was a little bit surprised, though. It's like, okay, 290 points, and I only lost 2 units. I can add Nagari. That pretty much does what the Abyssal Guard are doing with the rally and all that. So, okay, there you go. And then, all right, That gives me quite a few more points to figure, maybe another regiment of lower abyssals, something like that. So it's a bit of a change from what I would be running, but not like it doesn't like totally destroy what I'm doing. It changes here and there, but nothing like massive and earth shattering.
Blake, I'm assuming you didn't do one, right?
Yeah, I'm a total failure, Rob. But man, going through this and listening to some of Matt's ideas, definitely see some possibilities. And like I said, it seems like an actual army build rather than an old army with a couple band-aids on it.
Well, guys, thanks for coming on and sharing this preview with us. And as we said at the top of the show, this is just a preview. We're just kind of going over the stats. We don't really know how this army is going to play because we're taking all this outside the context of the actual rules, right? We're making some inferences and we're speculating here. I wouldn't be jumping off the bridge just yet because you lost Abyssal Guard.
And we probably got some things wrong or misspoke here or there. This is all new to us, so but hopefully.
No, actually, I'm way more hopeful. Tell you the truth.
Do you still play Forces of the Abyss? Because I thought the TSA destroyed your army.
Yeah, the TSA did. I glued it all back together with glue that Rob generously lent me that wasn't his. As you remember, Rob.
That sounds like me. That's how brand for me.
Oh, here, use this glue. Where'd that come from? I don't know.
No, I brought it back and I go, here's your glue, Rob. And he goes, that's not my glue.
I just found it for you. You know, that's maybe why you're on the show, Blake, because you are an optimistic person.
No, I am and I am not. You know, I jump to I devil's advocate hard at the beginning and then I figure out how to solve it. And I was really having trouble playing Forces of the Abyss, even though it was like I would do good, I would do bad, I would do good. And at Masters, I hate it. It seems like an actual army. It fits the lore. It fits the feeling of how the Abyss should play, and it gives us a lot of different kind of builds, which I think is really cool and really interesting.
And I guess same question over to you, Matt. Kind of looking at this list now, what are your kind of wrapped up thoughts?
I'm excited. I'm really excited about fourth just overall. It's obvious to me that some of the things I've been struggling with in third edition, again, I thought flyers were way undercosted. You know, certain units I thought needed tweaks here and there. You know, that's normal stuff. But it looks like I can see what they're trying to do, I think. Like, I think the patterns, all of that. Again, maybe I'm wrong, but and I'm just excited overall. It makes sense. I look at the list, I look at what things are, and I go, okay, well, this is this role, this is this role, this is this role. So I'm excited. I think there's going to be a lot of different builds that Abyssal players can use, and I'm thinking this will be pretty competitive, and again, excited to see how that goes.
Yeah, for my end, I just feel like you're not just going to automatically default to a few types of units. You know, we saw a lot of berserkers. I've seen a lot of the cavalry, especially in the troops. I don't know that that's necessarily going to be the best option. I think Molochs will be back on the menu. I think for a long time people were poo-pooing them. I think they're in a great place to really be here in a game where crushing strength is at a premium. I think anything with crushing strength too, I think is a positive thing. So the little I have played, I'm really excited about this. It's Jeremy, we talked about this. It's a new puzzle.
Yeah, it's a new puzzle for sure. We're also, like I said, this is the basic version, so it's only way it can go is up. But I think it's some interesting things. I think the fireball thing is going to be interesting. I'm curious to see where the shooting is going to end up, right? How are people going to utilize that in the new game? Will it be utilized? Because to me, it feels like there's always one or two things that people have the hot take on, and then 6 months later, it's something completely different. So maybe Abyssals will be that sort of weaken you by fire, and then we kill you by claw. You know, fire and claw. Maybe that could be like a cool theme for this list. But I'm with you. I'm really excited for fourth. My takeaway is I hope we as a community give the game a shot, try it out. You're not gonna know what it's like until you actually get some games in. If the new core rules feel great, but the balance doesn't quite feel right, that's easy to fix, right, Rob? They can make adjustments to that in the companion, hopefully this new group that sort of takes on the role of the RC doing playtesting. So, and it's a great saying, assume positive intent. So I don't think Mantic is trying to destroy they want to make a game that people will play and people will love. So I'm going to assume some positive intent. I'm going to give the game a shot. I'm going to try it, but I'm super excited. I'm really, I can't wait to see all the other lists when the book comes out. Take a look at my Northern Alliance. I'm really excited for. And yeah. And with that, remember to always keep counter charging.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Countercharge. Please let us know what you thought of the show by emailing us at counterchargepodcast@gmail.com, on Twitter at countercharge15, or by commenting on the Countercharge Kings of War podcast Facebook group. If you enjoy the show, you can help others find out about it by leaving positive reviews on iTunes. Until next time, keep countercharging. Music is a composition of Kevin MacLeod and is licensed under Creative Commons.
I just thought he was going to say I'm Blake Robertson, the man with the coolest sideburns in Kings of War, and he didn't.
Well, that is true. I mean, he doesn't even need to say that. That's just like a fact.
What does need to be said? Come on, old Elvis.
No, I think Elvis, you've seen a thing or two, but will still.
No, I said before he's fat and dying on the toilet.
Oh, okay.
No, you said in between fat and in between dead is what you said before.
So but after the '66 comeback tour, and then what year did he die? '77. What did he die?
I don't know, but you're gonna edit this part out because I'm gonna tell you right now, Rob. Every time I'm on the and I go to push real hard, I stop because I think about you. I'm like, if I died on the toilet, Rob would fucking
die.
love it.
Well, man, I guess I blew that metaphor. He actually is old Elvis.
Blake's gonna blow an artery.
Oh my God.
That's what I said. I'm like, every time I go to push real hard, I'm like, nope, better stop, man. I can't die this way or else Rob's gonna love it.
I gotta poop like a civilized scholar.
I gotta just relax and let her go. That ain't making it.
Totally.